Hello everybody, it's plant chat time with Mullein. I'll just wait about a minute to see if anybody is going to join in. For this month of November, we are focusing on herbs for winter wellness because it is November here and winter is upon us. So just trying to get a reminder of what kind of herbs will be great for winter wellness. Hey, Ellie. All right. Oh, hello. LJL Snowflake. Jessica, is it Jessica or Jennifer? Got a lot of Jennifers in here. Okay, well, the good news is about mullein is the flower and the leaf can be used. And also there is some people who use the root, although I'm not as familiar with that part of the plant. So we'll just focus on the leaf and the flower. So I've talked about this before, probably in Plant Priestess Circle things, in different lessons that I have, and I just did a whole series with the Herbal Book of Shadows toolkit that you all should have access to. And there is a lesson on leaves, 3 medicinal leaves, because I kind of broke it down into parts of the plant and did little lessons that way. And I believe I talk about mullein there. So it's another way to get some information on mullein. So mullein, let's talk about mullein flower for a little bit. The flower, excuse me, the yellow flower is used in ear infection issues. Now, certainly if the ear has been, the eardrum has been erupted or anything like that, then you want to be a little bit careful about what you put in the ear. I would certainly say get some medical attention to see, how bad it is and all that kind of thing. Have somebody look in there. But in some milder cases, mullein flower can be taken off, and they bloom at kind of various times along that inflorescence. So you might have to go out there a few times, and you just take those off, pull them out, and put them in a little bit of like olive oil. And I just use a little container to do this because you're not going to get a whole lot of flowers unless you're harvesting for many hours. But if you just want something for your own home use, you can take some of those flowers off and put them in olive oil and just let them steep in there. I only do that for about a week or 2 because those flowers are so delicate, and you'll see that they turn almost translucent fairly quickly because the oil gets in there, and it just seems like it extracts things. But I only let it sit in there for a little bit, and I do it fresh. At the flowers I put in there fresh, so you could let them dry up for a few hours just to pull out some of the moisture, because we know we don't want any water moisture in our oil, because that will create like it can create like a little bubble of water and air that creates some mold. So just keep an eye on it. So definitely want to use those flowers. I use them fresh. I think they're flowers. If they dry, sometimes they lose a little bit of their availability, and they're just so small. So then I take the flowers out of the oil, and then you have this oil that you can drop into your ear to help with, well, you could do it if you have a little ear wax build up and a little pain in there and you need to soften it up. The flower is supposed to help with pain as well. And then you could also use the oil on like lymph node issues too, and you could rub it on there as well. So kind of some 2 uses. Now the flower in the oil sometimes is mixed with a little garlic as well in there to help get reduce any of the bacteria in there. So the leaves are lots of fun because they're so soft and they dry really well. If you just let them lay out and air dry them that way, I think they dry very well. They're not like super full of moisture like comfrey leaf can. So I love to use mullein and just let it dry. And then when it's dry, I just crumple it up and put it into a jar. Quart-sized jar is usually what I put a lot of my herbs in. So then I just put it in there, because if I just left the leaf whole, it's really bulky and I just don't have storage space for that. So the leaf is an expectorant, demulcent, antitussive, so it's really for the, I probably should be using it. I got something going on in my throat here. It can be used to kind of expectorate stuff, get it out, or help loosen it up enough so that you can get it out. It tones the mucous membranes of the respiratory system. It can help reduce inflammation while stimulating the fluid to, get up and out and help get it out. It can also help with asthma because it's an anti-tussive or antispasmodic, which means it kind of calms the lining and relieve any like inflammation and spasms in there. So it's going to tone those mucous membranes, so it's going to tone it. So that's kind of a good preventive thing that you could put in your tea. And then it's also going to reduce inflammation in that system. And then it can also help calm any spasms that are going on there too. So it kind of has a really all over effect, especially for people who have a lot of coughing, maybe somebody who's trying to quit smoking. Maybe there's a lot in there, as well as people who have chronic asthma. It might be something that they could take preventatively to help calm that situation down. So also can be used for colds and coughs, and any kind of discomfort in the chest area and throat area. But having said that, just make sure that when you make a tea from the leaves, that it's very well filtered, because some of those little there's a lot of hairs in the leaf, and if those break free and get into the water, they could kind of settle in and kind of create some irritation. Now, when I find mullein leaf in tea bags already packaged up, in a mix of other stuff, I never have an issue with it irritating my system at all, because it's the tea bag that is in is very well, it's porous enough to let everything out, but it doesn't have like really open mesh. It's not like a muslin cloth, which would allow things to come out. So for the most part, the things that are prepackaged in tea bags are going to be great. It's just that if you are harvesting it yourself and then try to make a tea from it, there's tea balls, and the mesh diffuser that I use, it can really let a lot of things kind of come out of those mesh. So I would do a second straining of the mullein leaf with something that's a little bit more finer. Oftentimes I've used I have those tea bags that are really long, and that you can just fold over on the side of a cup. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll get one of those out and then do a second straining of it, because it's like a tea bag. It's very, it's going to let a lot of things come through, but those really fine little hairs I don't want to come out. So those those tea bags can help capture that. Bronchitis would be another one to help with that, especially bronchitis where it's real tight and things are having a hard time coming out. So different ways to use it. You could use a tincture and made from the leaves, and then you would start with around 10 to 30 drops 3 times a day. Of course, start low, go slow, and work your way up. The infusion would be 1 cup of boiling water onto 1 to 2 teaspoons of the dried leaves, and then infuse just for about 10 minutes. And then you could drink up to 3 times a day, a cup of that. So, of course, just use what feels good to you. There is a respiratory tonic formula that Rosemary Gladstar has, and also one for lymph congestion tea. And I pulled that one up just to read it to you. It's so this is lymph congestion tea. So anybody has like lymph nodes that are kind of getting swollen and they want to support that, or if they know that they can get that issue during a sickness, if somebody's sick around you, you could start this. So 2 parts calendula flower, 2 parts cleavers, 1 part mullein, and 1 part spearmint or any other flavorful herb that you want to just add to the tea. So I know a person that doesn't like anything mint, so that would not work. But you could use stevia. Anise hyssop is another good one to flavor tea. All sorts of other things. So then you would just make that mix that together, and you could make a bigger batch of it so that you don't have to mix just a tea bag, but make a bigger batch of it. And then use 1 to 2 teaspoons with 1 cup of boiling water, and you can drink 2 to 3 cups a day. So that's something to help support the lymph nodes. Let's check my notes here for a little bit of other things here. Yeah, I think that is all I have for mullein. Mullein is a biennial, so that means you'll see the leaves grow first down on the ground. It's very low to the ground. And then the second year, the spike comes up, the flower inflorescence. That'll have leaves on it too. And so what happens is if it grows in my yard, which it seems to be doing every year, comes up in different spots, I'll take some of the flowers off and take some of the leaves off, but not all of them, of course, because I want it to continue to grow throughout the season and just enjoy it. And the bees come and are on the flowers too, so I share them with the bees. I'm certainly not taking every flower because I'm not out there watching for it to be blooming every single day because new ones pop up throughout the day. You'll notice that when you kind of pull on the flower to take it out, it might seem like it's a little bit stuck in there, but just slowly and gently just pull it and it'll kind of like pop out. It's really neat. So I take any of the leaves either on the ground that are on the bottom or the ones on the stalk. The ones on the bottom in the first year are very big. And then of course, as the flower comes up, those bottom leaves on the closest to the ground might get a little bit smaller. But some of those mullein plants are huge. If they're in a really great spot, their leaves can be really, really huge in the first and the second year. And then there's other times where they kind of look like baby mullein, and they're really they stay pretty small, and they may only get a couple feet high, but most mullein get 4 or 5 feet tall. Their flower stalks do. So, and they grow in kind of places that seem like nothing will grow. It's around here they grow in really rocky areas, anywhere that's really full sun, south-facing slopes, along the ditches and the highways. They really can grow anywhere. So it's really a cool plant. And also just really soft on the skin, fun to show kids or adults because it's so soft. It's surprising how few adults even notice the plant, but when you pick a leaf and say, hey, feel this, they're just like, wow, that is so soft. So some people use it like toilet paper if they're out camping and they don't have any toilet paper and they have mullein around. Mullein would do the trick as well. So all right, I am done with the plant chat for today. Thanks for joining, Ellie. If anybody watches the replay, just say hi so I can see who's watching. And I'll get this up in the membership site too, so it's easy to find. Yes, so thanks for joining. Have a good day or night. Bye, Ellie.